Hello there, Mara here again, and for today, we're going to talk about voice. So, this is my old voice, and this is the voice that I've been using most of my life, and it's been interesting meeting people that have never met the old me. I will use my dead name, Mark. I will refer to myself that way when I'm talking about the old me. Just to warn you ahead of time, it'll show up. Anyways, so people that have never heard my old voice say this sounds fake, that I'm too deep with it or something else. It's been a bit wild because I don't use this voice anymore other than for shock factor or, just to do like, oh yeah, can I still do my old voice? Yeah, I can still do my old voice. So people who never met Mark, I've had different reactions from. For example, Carol, who is my electrologist, and I'm actually pretty good friends with. She's pretty awesome. But when I was talking to her, she said that I had a very feminine voice. I probably didn't need to do very much voice training. And then I switched to this voice, and she was trying to work and just started cracking up. So then I switched to another voice and said, "Darn woman, always messing with my face." And we had to stop for a while and just started laughing like crazy, which was pretty cool. When I met with the surgeon who's going to be doing my face surgery, and then I switched to this voice, they said it was fake sounding. Like I was trying to make a masculine voice and I was forcing it too deep. So then I had to prove a point and make it even deeper. And said, no, if I wanted it deep, I could speak very deep. Hello, everybody. It's Zelerla and Axeluvia.
Hello.
We're now bringing you episode 5 of Edernam. She just got the developers to go with the Moon Man to go back in time to 1967.
And I stole the U.S. flag from the moon, and that's not going to affect.
Hello, Roberta Williams. This does not assist me in knowing anything about the gold ball except to know it is a gold ball. How big is the freaking thing?
You saw it. It was...
Plague staff. What?
There we go.
Oh my god. Why? He has a musical nipple. Uncle, why do you have a musical nipple?
One of those things where there's a click point I'm just totally missing.
No, there's several locations you haven't gone to yet.
What? Ugh! Ugh! This tree looks like it's leaning over and it has a face on its ass. So, getting back on topic, this is on topic, but getting back to where I was before, I invented a new voice for me to use. I've actually used tons of voices. I'll get back to that later. But back a year ago, which is why I decided to do this episode now, I decided I was going to start training myself on a permanent new voice. And though I've done voices since I was like 5, it was actually a little bit tricky for me to pick a new permanent voice. And first off, I decided I'm not going to talk different. The way I word things, the way that I have a cadence to my voice, and the way I bend up and down in pitch while I'm speaking, I sometimes drop way down a bit and go way up on random words. And that's just how I've talked. I can play video of that too, but that doesn't really matter. But I started kind of in the wrong place because I was trying to make it sound more natural. When I first started, I was doing a very wispy voice. And I have a little bit of recording of this back then. It's a little cringy. Hello there, I am Zelerla, and this is The Joy of Computer Gaming, where we investigate good, intriguing, and awful examples of computer gaming history. Today's highlighted game is Rings of Zilfin. The sadly squandered sluggishly strolls several samey settings, slowly stabs Sangus, and stutteringly shoot at self-rezzing Skullbats game. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kinds of boots Vimes always bought and wore until the shoes were so thin that you could tell he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. So then I decided, well, I could take my old voice and just add some resonance to it. So then my old voice would turn into this. And it came out as okay, but it sounds too deep for what I want. And to me, it comes across as sultry, perhaps, and it doesn't sound quite right. So while I was working on these voices, I have recordings of them, just the voices, so it's not going to be interesting to just look at. But I started merging properties of them that I liked, merging the higher pitch that I had on the raspy sound, but not quite so high, and the more feminine resonance that I'm using right now. And this is the voice I ended up getting. And it took me about 7 months, 6-7 months to finally be fairly happy with the way my voice is. I'm not perfectly happy with it, and that's fine. But I'm pretty done changing it. I've recorded it a bit. I've done quite a few videos, including the Trans XP videos, and I think it's come pretty far and sounds pretty good. So I wanted to talk about how I got there, why I was able to do it so quickly, and whatnot, and then things that have come up along the way. So one of the difficulties after coming up with this new voice was doing nonverbal sounds, which are things like coughing, clearing my throat, yawning, and whatnot. Now, a lot of these you have a little bit of control over. When you do a yawn, you could actually voice it a little bit to make it so it has a sound. But with coughing, a normal cough is just, well, that sounds like old voice there. At least to me it does. So I added a little pitch bend at the end of it. So right, not. It's a little bit annoying, but it's not like I clear my throat too often anymore. That's a different topic. And same thing with coughing. You have. Sorry, it's going to be a little loud. Again, pitch bending at the end. It sounds a little fake when I'm trying to force it. When I actually have to cough, it sounds better, but it doesn't matter. The other things that you do that are like reactive things or yay, little things that aren't actually words. I have a lot of experience doing those in other voices, so those were really easy for me to do. It's like fixing the way I laugh. I can't fake laugh. I'd have to think of something funny. Okay. I mean, if you're curious what I was just thinking of, it's like I've got this role-playing character I have that I actually am using my middle name, Sanera, named after her. And she does this crazy stuff. She's got a lot of magic, Psy-magic role-playing system. She does this crazy stuff where she does stream of consciousness things. And one of the things I came up with that she does, or did, to annoy one of the characters my wife, Lauren, was playing, is she made these giant knuckles just appear in the air, and they started cracking themselves, just cracking their knuckles, making that grinding crunch crunch sound while her character was trying to concentrate on something. I don't know, makes me giggle just thinking about it again, so there you go. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, back on topic. So when I was working on this new voice, I was actually pretty darn shy because I used to be an extreme introvert, and it's kind of slowly melting away. Actually, it's mostly melted away by now. And I wasn't sure who to start doing it with. I did it with my therapist. So like when I first talked to my therapist in December, she heard the rispy voice that I was using, and it was just on the phone. So that's fine. it worked okay. It was a starting point. And then I tried with a couple of friends. And the first time I was using a voice more like this, when I was using the voice when I was speaking with him, he said he didn't notice the difference and said it's not like I was talking an octave higher. When this is where my normal voice was. So we then had to check. Here's the normal voice. Here's the new voice that I was using. Yeah, normal. It's just like, we just did that a bit, and it's like, no, I think I was actually slightly more than an octave higher. Doesn't matter. So when I got the new voice working pretty well, I started to use it everywhere. It's my new voice after all. And one of my fondest memories is going to what was my favorite Thai restaurant. Unfortunately, they sold, which completely changed it, but different story. But it was my favorite at the time, and I wanted to come out. I wanted them to see the new me. So I went there dressed up in blue with a wig and everything else, using my new voice, and was there with my wife. It's not like she was doing anything different, and we've been going to this place every single month for something like the last 15 years, at least once a month. And even during COVID, I would go there in a mask and everything to get takeout because everything was in lockdown. You couldn't really stay for very long. So, and every time I went in there, the owner was there. I talked with him. We knew each other pretty well. His name's Mac. Cool guy. But when I was there, dressed up and using my new voice, he didn't recognize me. He didn't know who I was. He came over and asked us for drinks instead of just assuming, because we always got the same drink, nice Thai iced teas, because they have awesome Thai iced teas there, or they did. And just continued as regular, was quite surprised that I ordered something as spicy as I do, because I like my Thai food really spicy. Asked if I was sure. Went through the whole meal, and at the end of it, when he asked me to pay for it, I hadn't legally changed my name yet, so I gave him my old credit card, the same one he'd probably seen 100 times at this point. And it was then that he came out. His wife, who also works there in the back, came out, and the cook came out, who I've only met a few times, and and he came up and asked, just like, "Are you Mark?" And I said, "Yes." And he's like, and I explained, it's like, I started transitioning, and I just wanted to be able to come to my favorite restaurant as the new me, because I'm not going to be hiding anymore. And they were just so surprised and accepting, and the cook looked like she was going to cry, and her and the wife both hugged me and said they were so happy for me. And I actually didn't know at the time that in Thailand they're so accepting of trans people that it wasn't even unusual for them. It was just, wow, this person they've known for some 15 years just started transitioning, and it was just exciting and pretty cool. I'd like to think that my voice was different enough that it was able to fool them, though. It certainly seemed to. Okay, so anyways, back to a previous subject. I've been doing voices most of my life. Since I was about 5. I will blame who I call my father, my dad. It's actually my stepdad, because my real father left when I was like 3. And, my stepfather showed up in our life and has been my dad. He is the father figure. He's the one who helped make the money to raise us and everything else. So when I talk about my dad, I'm talking about him. He did silly voices. And as we were growing up, we watched cartoons and whatnot. Dad made silly voices. So we decided we're just going to do silly voices too. And it was a pretty common occurrence for us to just switch into a goofy voice when we're talking about something. Oh no, that's absolutely not what we're going to be doing right now. Just start doing silly voices
I even had, like, we got a cassette tape recorder, like, in 1990-ish, and me and my brother would record things on there, and we'd have guests come in, and it's like, hi there, it's Joe and Bob. And that was literally what we called it. And we had, like, here's Anne, and I don't know, it was like Joseph. I don't remember the characters' names. And it was like, oh, yeah, I'm Anne. I'm really excited to be out here. Yeah, it's just me and my wife. You know, it was just ridiculous times. And this is stuff I was doing when I was like 12. And I ended up starting to do freeform role-playing in junior high. It was like 6th grade. No? Yeah, it was 6th grade, maybe 5th. Somewhere in there. It doesn't matter. Around the same time as I was doing that sort of thing, and as I was doing role-playing, I was the game master. I was the one making up silly stories for everybody to play, and I would do voices for all of the characters. So you wouldn't just go up to a shopkeeper and be like, oh yeah, the shopkeeper says it's 10 gold. It's like, what are you doing? Yes, yeah, we've got some good axes. Really good axes. They're about like 20 gold each. You know, just silly things like that. And I would try to make it so that the characters were memorable, but, you know, you end up having archetypes and whatnot. And this is the sort of thing I kept doing and doing and doing. And I ended up actually starting to do freeform role-playing with my wife when she moved in with me. That was back in 2002. I don't remember exactly when we started playing, but it was not that long into the relationship because I hadn't been able to do it for a couple of years before that because I was mostly doing it with my brother or friends at school back when I was in school. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool being able to share that, but also being able to do all of these voices. So then I could then have the different character types and have conversations with myself and have it so that there are all these different people talking. I could have a conversation with, let's say, there's a character I've been doing a lot named Gorash, and he talked like this. Now, he's a crazy, crazy god because he likes to make it so most people don't think he's a god. And there's people who are going to ask him, are you sure you're a god? Yeah, I'm a god. Can you guys pass the chips? I need something to salt down that beer I just drank. Ugh. Pardon me. And then go off and puke. Don't mind him. And have it so there was Vendesa, who's an ultra warrior woman who's got a bunch of magic powers to help her fight. And she talks like this. She's really aggressive regularly, and she usually cusses up a storm, but I'm not going to do that on my YouTube video here. And have it so that they're talking, well, then Anserad is there to speak with them, one of the other deities who's huge into books and wants to study, but also one of the biggest pushers of the freaking spacing on a word. Anyways, pushing having magic out. Pushing having magic out. Yeah, that works. Thank you very much for forgetting that word. No problem. Oh, don't mind Mara. She just forgets that stuff a lot. Well, it's not going to do her any good, is it? Especially when she's doing all of this in one giant take. Yeah, that's going to cause a bit of a problem, you see, because it's not like I could exactly go back and fix this. She can go back and fix this. It's going to be her job. Well, there's me screwing up a bunch. But you get the point. I've done tons of voices, and I can go incredibly deep with some of the voices as I've needed to do. And I could also go up to ridiculous pixie-like voices that are a little hard to understand, or maybe really hard to understand. It doesn't matter so much, does it? And these are things I've regularly done. Male characters, female characters, ridiculous characters, realistic character-ish. I mean, you know, they're characters you're just role-playing. And this is stuff I've been doing since I was a little kid. So for me, when I say I just picked a voice and I just started working on it, and that's literally what I did. I just started picking bits and pieces of what I've been doing and just made a voice. And that's what I've been continuing to use. So I'm really happy that a lot of people are
glad that think I have a good voice. It passes on the phone. Everybody just considers that I'm a woman when we're talking on the phone. And I've recorded it and listened, and I worked on it quite a lot, and I think I'm in a good place, except for singing. Now, in my old voice, I have a pretty nice singing voice, but I don't have a great singing voice with my new voice, and I think I'm going to put some examples of that in a different video because I don't want to get copyright claimed because I don't have any original stuff to record right now. They're in progress. Anyways, so the point I'm getting at with all of this is I am not trained to do... Okay, I am not trained to do voice acting or voice training or whatnot. I've just done it for so long, so many voices, so many different examples, so many things I've done, and I know how to manipulate things in my throat and my nose and everything else while I'm talking. So I was wondering, would people be interested in a non-professional perspective on things to try changing to work on your voice? I know a lot of the terms they regularly use, just not how to exactly explain the theory. I don't know if a completely different perspective might make it easier for some people who have difficulty understanding the professional style perspective. I know I had a lot of trouble when I first started reading what professional voice training does. Things like weight, which is what I was going to say. What does that do to control your voice? Anyways, let me know if that's interesting. I might do a little spin-off thing where I talk about things to try out and whatnot, if that's actually interesting to anybody. In any case, thank you for listening to my long ramble. Hope it was interesting. Talk to you all later. Bye. 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 Really? Really, voice? You're getting that tired already? We're just talking. Oh yeah, and Lavana's way over there.